Hello and welcome to yet another episode of a Week in Film podcast. We are on episode 12 and we are still rolling through, guys. Uh, Before I give you our names and the normal intro, I have to apologize for the last episode. I understand if it was kind of unwatchable because of me mainly, but you have to understand even the strongest get tired. But today, I am your first host, Noah, and I'm joined by my second host, Allie. Say hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so before we jump into it, if you like this kind of podcasting content, be sure to like and subscribe. Do anything to help out the channel, even comment. And whatever you do, don't watch that Deadpool video. Or do, whatever, I don't care. Yeah, with that all out of the way, do you have anything you want to say, Faye? Allie?
Spoiler for the next names.
No, it's fine, it's fine. Anything you want to say, Allie?
You guys get the reference for our names?
I hope not.
Comment
because
down
it's
below if you get
not a
the
good movie.
reference.
It's not a good movie.
Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah. So on Monday, which was the 2nd, which is also Memorial Day, right?
Yes.
No, Labor Day.
Memorial Day.
Are they? No, it's not. It was Labor Day.
It was Labor Day. Sorry.
I know my U.S. trivia, guys. Yeah, on the 2nd, which was also Labor Day, we both together rewatched Damien Chazelle's La La Land.
Yeah.
So I think we should get it out of the way right now. Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 from both of us. La La Land, for me anyway, is a very formative film for my opinions on films. It was one of the first movies that I really paid attention to when I watched, and I remember it hitting me incredibly hard emotionally, and in pretty much all areas. It's a standout film, especially amongst a already pretty strong filmography like Damien Chazelle has.
Oh yeah.
Why do you like? Yeah, go ahead.
When I first watched this, I was very numb. Like the ending where everybody cries, I was just kind of like there, just kind of shocked. And then the movie ended, and tears just started streaming.
It all hit you.
Yeah, everything just like, man, that hurt me. Like I felt physical pain.
Yeah, it's a very intense might not be the word, but a very emotionally strong ending.
It's very hard hitting.
Yeah, hard hitting. There you go. It's exactly what you don't want to happen. As soon as the last quarter of the movie starts.
But it's also painfully realistic. Like this is how a lot of relationships end up.
Not out of a hate for each other or just a loss of love. It's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
It makes the movie even sadder.
But if you haven't seen La La Land, I mean, this is a critically acclaimed film. I think it's one of 4 or 3 films that's ever been nominated for every single category at the Oscars. La La Land is a incredible technical marvel, and just a marvel period. Its music is a standout. It is a musical at heart. It's a gorgeous looking movie, color wise. I hope you guys couldn't hear that.
Sorry.
Yeah, La La Land is it's a movie for the ages, I guess you could say. So why, if you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail, why do you like La La Land so much?
I mean, other than the overall story, and obviously the cast is great, the music's great, everything about this movie is great. But one thing that stands out to me is the cinematography.
Absolutely.
Whether it's through the dance numbers or the different lighting in the film.
That would actually be choreography.
Yes, but they're filming it.
No, but choreography is how the people
dance.
dance.
I know my words.
You sure? What does coagulate mean?
We just talked about this. Coagulate is when your blood gets dried when it's outside your body.
No, that's what it means. I'm not lying.
What is your favorite part of this movie?
Well, I think just rewatching it, I love how, and I can't speak to how realistic it is exactly because I'm kind of too young to know about any of this stuff, at least business wise, and just Hollywood wise,
Mhm.
but it really connects to, because both of these people and pretty much everyone in this movie is someone who wants to make it big.
Right.
They all have these lofty goals in their life. And I found myself relating a lot to Emma Stone's character throughout the movie.
Mhm.
Um Trying to become an actress, and on my end just trying to break into the industry. And I think it's really emotionally it connects emotionally
Mhm.
when you see her try and put all this effort into something just for no one to really care. And you even if you haven't done something like that, you know how heartbreaking it is to see that no one really cared, like I just said.
Mhm.
um it's it's a heavy movie for
Right.
me, at least.
I think for
I
most
think
people.
for a lot of people, yeah, absolutely. If not for the like industry career side of it, the romance,
Right.
because watching it fall apart is just heartbreaking.
Even the career part, everybody kinda I mean, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people go through that
Most
thing.
people.
Yeah, where she's kind of like, "Maybe I shouldn't go for my dreams. Maybe I should just get a 9 to 5 and
Yeah,
just be like a normal person."
absolutely. It's hard to keep that same passion in your
Mhm.
goals when it's so easy to get discouraged by how difficult it is to, especially like something like acting.
Right.
It's so hard to get into that if you
Mhm.
don't have like connections or any hookups or anything. It's incredibly difficult. And and in a way, even through how depressing the ending of the movie is, it almost gives me hope.
Right.
You know, if Emma Stone could lock in and become a world-class actor, and Ryan Gosling could also lock in and open up his jazz cafe bar, then I think anyone can make it in the world.
Well, this is a movie, so we don't wanna get anybody's hopes up, but you can always try your hardest.
Get your hopes up, guys. Put as much effort into it as you can and get your hopes up, because
Absolutely.
fortune favors the brave.
Mhm.
Take big dumb risks. Sorry.
Another thing, I wanted to ask you about
Mhm.
is there's a lot of these scenes in the movie
Mhm.
where the character is imagining things if it went the way they wanted it to. Like, for
Right.
example, Emma Stone's character, she's
The
performing.
ending slideshow.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
she's imagining that there's a huge crowd and everybody's cheering for her, but
Mhm.
in like, realistically, there is, like, 5 to 10 people, and nobody really
Yeah.
cared for the play.
Not a big turnout. Yeah.
How do you feel about those little
Uh, I I
things?
I think because it all shows up at the end
Mhm,
when Emma Stone sees Ryan Gosling at Seb's
mhm,
at Seb's. um, and it's something that everyone's done. No matter what you're looking at, at a point you've gone, what if everything just went a little differently and everything played out just how I wanted it to? Whether it's in a school project, or if
mhm,
it's an interview, or if you do YouTube too, a YouTube
mhm,
video, it's or cooking even, it's easy to
right,
look back and think, what if I just did it a little differently
mhm,
and I got a little bit luckier. And I think it hits the nail right on the head.
mhm,
Seeing how desperate she is for this alternate reality to become, well, the reality.
mhm.
It's very sad.
Yeah, it
And
is.
I think it's one of the most emotionally zapping scenes in the movie, because you're sitting there and you're just like, damn, man, damn.
You know that feeling.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. To get off that and to go to La La Land's probably best, or at least most universally best
Mhm.
attribute. What was your favorite musical number in this movie?
This is
This is
so
a very tough
difficult.
question.
Every time I watch this movie, it changes. Like, on my
Hmm.
second watching, it was the one,
Which one? With Ryan Gosling or Emma Stone? Let's narrow it down here. Or was
you
it
cut
both?
this out.
No.
I can't remember.
Well,
Is it
we can.
John Mayer?
Who?
John Mayer?
The
The
guy
guy
who
who's
made the.
singing?
Who's
The
that?
one that's been stuck in your head.
Oh, we didn't start the fight, or whatever it's called. Part of the jazz, the like neo jazz band. What are you talking about?
Should I just pull up the soundtrack?
Yeah, sure, if that helps. I mean, while you're doing that, I guess I'll tell you about my favorite number.
Yeah, yeah.
So on my first viewing, because this is now my second time seeing La La Land, I think my favorite number was definitely. It's tough to say, and it's a generic answer, but it was probably City of Stars, I'd say.
Sure.
Ryan Gosling's solo number. His voice is just beautiful, and
Mhm.
the piano's gorgeous. But in this one, in this second viewing, I think "Here's to the Dreamers" or whatever it's called, the solo that Emma Stone sings when she's at the job interview.
It's
Uh,
called Audition: The Fools Who Dream. Like
yeah,
parentheses, The Fools Who Dream.
yeah, it's that one. The audition, the
Mhm.
song that she sings there. Um, that's in the second viewing anyway. That's the only scene that made me really cry.
Mhm.
It's something about the lyrics and the message and the emotion in her voice that it just gets to me, man.
Mhm.
Uh, more than the romance in the movie, just the idea of she the whole song is about appreciating the fool. You know,
Right.
appreciating these people who tried for something that they probably weren't going to get, but persevered and tried anyway.
Mhm.
I can't help but not relate, but just feel so connected to what it's
Mhm.
talking about.
You
You
kind of
know,
see yourself in the song.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
I'm
she's
like,
singing about you.
I am the fool. I am the
Mhm.
fool. Yeah. What was your favorite number? It seems like you found it.
See, in this one, uh, A Lovely Night was just so fun to watch.
Mhm. Yeah, the
I
the choreography for that scene is A1,
Yeah, absolutely. And
and
we
the
were watching
setting.
this together. I just
Mhm.
had such a great time when that song came on. It was so much fun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
There's not much more I can say. If you've seen this movie, it's just so good. And if you haven't seen it, please go watch this movie. It's on Netflix. You can watch it right now.
It's definitely the standout number of the movie, I think.
Other than City of Stars, yeah.
Well, but
Those
I
are like
like
the two main.
but what's it called? Lovely Night,
A
right?
Lovely Night, yeah.
Yeah, A Lovely Night is literally like the poster for the movie. That
Yeah, it
that scene
is.
of them dancing is the poster. So I mean,
Mhm.
this is definitely. Oh, I didn't write a review for this one. Uh,
Oh,
because
you
I
weren't
was I
home,
I didn't have my book available.
right?
But I'm sure it would be really deep and introspective.
Mhm.
Um, I don't have anything else to say really.
Me neither.
Again, the choreography is like A1, cinematography is A1, the score is A1.
Mhm.
Everything is like on full force. The colors, I think I already said that. I'm pretty sure it was shot on Technicolor. Looks beautiful.
Mhm.
Um, just like everything pops. Everyone's in really colorful clothing. At least in the happy parts of the movie.
Right.
I think it's just a brilliant mesh of Hollywood musicals and realistic and not so realistic Hollywood and people. This is a movie about people.
Mhm.
And I loved it.
The
Uh,
way you mentioned that the colors are brighter in the happier scenes, I think that's really cool. How they
Absolutely.
can the colors kind of represent the mood, and it kind of affects your brain when you see the darker colors. You're like more sad, more
Yeah,
melancholic, and then the brighter colors you're really happy and you feel that emotion.
I really like how it's separated. The movie is kind of separated into four chunks with the
Mhm.
seasons. I
Right.
thought it was a nifty little framing device,
Mhm.
and the names even kind of go along with what's happening. The worst part, the most emotional part of the movie is called Fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now I actually don't have anything else to say.
Yeah. Me neither.
I mean, again, in case you missed it, this is a 10 out of 10
On both
from
of ours.
both me and Allie. It is a stellar movie. And to
Mhm.
go on to the next movie, which I think Allie would also say is stellar,
Oh yeah.
go ahead and introduce this one, Allie.
Guys, I've seen this movie, I've read the book. I'm the day I saw this on Twitter that it was streaming again, I sent it right to Noah.
Yeah,
Instantly, I sent it to him, and
it was
I
like
was like, "We're watching this tonight
it was like
because I
within the
need to see it."
hour. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, we did watch it that day or the day after, somewhere around
hmm
there, and that movie was Dead Poet Society.
Dead Poets Society. So you have a very unique perspective on this movie, not
Mhm.
only because this is your second viewing, but also because you've read the book.
Right.
Uh, Go into that a little.
I'm pretty sure the book was made after the movie, so it's just kind of like a retelling. They're just kind
Oh.
of explaining it for people who like to read. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not too sure how accurate that is, but um, what I do remember really liking about my first watch was seeing everything come to life. This was the book that got me into reading.
Oh,
So
so
for the
you read
first,
it. You read the book before you watched the movie.
yes, but I think the book was made after the movie.
Okay.
Um, but reading it and imagining everybody in my head and imagining all those scenes and all the settings, how everything looked,
Mm-hmm.
and then watching the movie, it was just so magical in my head. It was the first time I experienced something like that.
That's that's a really unique perspective to have on the
Mhm.
movie. I don't think I can really relate for any of those except for like maybe Coraline.
Yeah, sure.
Um, as for for me, it was my first viewing. When we watched this together, that was Allie's second viewing.
Mhm.
Did anything stick out to you in the second viewing here, or did you
Um,
appreciate anything more, or things like that?
I was really locked in the first time I watched this, obviously because I loved the book so much, it changed my life.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like I didn't really miss anything. It was just kind of like, oh man, I remember this scene, and it was um, almost like nostalgic feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, this was a great scene. And even in the end, if you've seen this movie, you know it kind of happens.
Yeah.
I started crying far before that because I was just anticipating it.
Yeah. You started crying like 40 minutes away from the ending.
Because I just knew
Or-
it was coming and everything leading up to that, like that character's every single moment.
mm-hmm.
It's just, it means so much, especially to me. I can really correlate with him.
Mm-hmm.
And just that ending scene is just so heartbreaking, or his
It,
final scene at least.
it's almost a tough watch.
Right.
Watching him. Well, what happens?
Mhm.
I definitely don't want to spoil this movie because this is a
No.
movie that needs to be watched. I went in not knowing anything.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I'm so grateful that I went in knowing nothing.
Mhm.
I think so. For the longest time, I had the impression that Goodwill Hunting was pretty much just, or oops, that Poet
Mhm.
Society was just Goodwill Hunting, kind of reskinned.
Mhm.
Mainly because Robin Williams was a teacher in both of
Mhm.
them. But this movie, tonally, is a lot different from Good Will Hunting.
Mhm.
That movie is, Good Will Hunting's a lot more about romance and feeling out of place in the world. And Dead Poet Society is a lot more about camaraderie. I think
Right.
that's what I really appreciate about this film because something about like schoolboys just getting together and having fun is
Right.
just like such a excellent way to tell a story and to you kind of get invested really quick.
Mhm.
You get to know all these characters and their own silly traits and all that. And
The scenes where they're just kinda dancing around in the cave, it's so fun to watch. It just brings a smile to your face. You can't help but enjoy it
uh,
with them and
absolutely,
almost
yeah,
chant along.
yeah. I think probably my favorite scene in the movie, in the entire movie, is that scene where I forget his name, but
Mhm.
he's playing the saxophone in the cave.
Right, right.
And he's playing like shitty like three notes at the start, and then he plays this fucking awesome sax solo. Um, like on the third run through.
Mhm.
It felt so like it was so unexpected and it was so powerful because the whole movie's about poetry. Dead Poet
Right.
Society is about poetry and
Mhm.
life and things like that. And and hearing uh this beautiful song get played after two just like shit posts basically. It feels so like cumulative of the whole film.
Right.
Because at the start it doesn't feel like these guys really care about poetry, and then as it goes on, you can tell, uh, whatever the main guy's name was, he
The
gets a
main
lot
guy?
more. Yeah,
Neil?
not Ethan Hawke. I think it's
Neil?
Neil. Yeah, you can really see Neil throw himself into it, and you can see everyone
Mhm.
else kind of really get into it until it
Right.
falls apart, of course. But man, it's good.
Mhm.
What did you appreciate?
Can you hear that?
Yeah, can you guys hear what's his name again?
His name's Charlie.
Charlie, yeah. Can
Charlie's
you guys hear
scratching at my
Charlie?
carpet.
Yeah, Charlie's a little evil bugger, but
Yeah, he's
Uh,
also trying to eat my food right now, so I have to kind of push him away.
um, what did you think about Robin Williams' character in this movie?
I mean, obviously after his passing, it's heartbreaking to watch this
Uh
and
huh.
kind of see that ending where he. This is a spoiler. Skip ahead like
Well,
10 seconds.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Spoiler, right now.
his part where he's like getting kicked out of school. It's really emotional. You can kind of see it. His face gets really sad. He's um
It
he
feels like
just
he's
really loves
lost.
it.
It feels like he's lost purpose
Right.
when it does happen.
You can tell he really enjoyed being a teacher and he wanted those kids to learn and enjoy what they were learning about so much that he went off curriculum. Sorry
Yeah.
about Charlie.
All
He went
good.
off curriculum and ended up being punished because of that. But it's just because he loves English and writing and poetry so much.
Yeah.
Um, but that final scene with him where they all stand up on their desk and they're saying his little nickname, and he's like, "Man, I really did make an impact on this class." It warms my heart.
I really liked as well. I guess this is also kind of a spoiler, but it's not a huge one. I like the reference back to the chart that they mention at the start of the movie where Robin Williams or his character makes one of the boys read out the poetry grading chart or whatever, and then they all
Yeah,
rip it
it was
out of
like,
the
"What
book.
is poetry?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then having the old teacher or the old principal or whatever teach
Mhm.
and go open up to the chart and read this wonderful essay. You're just like,
And
"Oh
they're
man,
like,
this guy just doesn't get it, you know."
yeah, and they're all like, "We don't have that page."
Oh,
Or
it's torn
the
out.
character's like, the page torn out," and he's like, "Someone else read it," and he's like, "They're all torn out," and he's like, "What the heck?" And he just gives them their book or his book,
Yeah, there are a lot of sweet little moments like that. And this
and
movie
then
is Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
sorry, and then you see Robin Williams' character John. He's like in the back room grabbing his stuff, and you can see him smirking because
He's like
he's the
kind of
one who,
chuckling.
yeah, he's the one
Yeah.
who made them rip out the pages.
Um and I mean a lot this movie is comprised of a bunch of moments.
Hmm.
Each character I'd say has their moment, or if not their moment, they have a good like group
Right.
moment. I'm thinking to the whole what's his name? Nawanda?
Yeah, Charlie
I'm
is his technical name, but
Yeah, his real name or whatever you want to say. Um Seeing Charlie's character uh go basically crazy over the span of the movie is really cool. Uh but the movie almost drip feeds you teaching scenes.
hmm
Every single time Robin Williams goes to teach the students something through whatever metaphor or exercise or activity he has them doing,
hmm
eh, you can't help but like just be infatuated with it.
right.
Um,
He's such a good teacher.
the
I'd love to have him in real life.
Absolutely, yeah. The one that's playing in my head the most is where they're like, walk your own walk, right?
Hmm.
And
And
they're
then yeah, yeah.
yeah, and they're like kind of wobbling or whatever. Just
Hmm.
everyone's doing their own crazy thing. That's like it's what a teacher should be, man.
But
You
you
know?
forgot the part where Charlie's like just standing against the wall,
Oh
and
yeah,
the
he's like,
teacher says,
I'm
"Come
expressing
on,
my
why aren't you
right.
walking?" Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm
he's like,
expressing my
"That's the
right
whole
not to walk.
point."
Yeah, it's
Uh,
awesome.
that was a
It's
really good scene.
awesome. To talk about Robin Williams alone, his
Hmm.
character in this movie is obviously very important. He's kind of the lifeblood of the movie,
Right.
and I mean his performance is unbelievable in this movie.
Hmm.
It feels like he plays such a simplistic role. He's just the teacher, but he plays the teacher really great.
Yeah.
And having the whole movie be built on his first lesson is just awesome.
Hmm.
The whole carpe diem, seize the day saying is iconic at this point,
Yeah, absolutely.
if you say to anyone, even if they haven't seen Dead Poet Society, they at least know what, or at least have a general idea of what carpe diem means. It's just like crazy impactful cinema.
This movie is fantastic.
Absolutely, and the score is really great too.
Yeah, of course.
Technically, this movie is really good. I like the setting of a school.
Mhm.
It's or like a boarding school or a whatever you prep
It's a
school,
prep
whatever you.
school. Mhm.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the holdovers.
Right.
Or well, I mean, I guess it's the other way around. The holdovers reminds you of Dead Poet Society
Mhm.
because it's made after. But I saw the holdovers first, and it's kind of not exactly like it, but it's pretty similar. They're
The
both teachers
teacher. Yeah.
being good friends with the students, and they love learning, kind of thing. I think it's awesome. Oh,
Right.
and this is the thing I was gonna mention earlier. Um, this movie is so quotable.
Yeah,
There
absolutely.
there are so many lines of dialogue in this movie, a lot of which are Robin Williams,
Mhm.
that are just excellent. The one that I'm thinking of the most is I'll throw it up on screen right now.
Write poetry because we are members of the human race, and the human race is filled with passion. Medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for.
It's so yeah.
Mhm.
Even now it feels even more uh, impactful now because so many people the world is just being pushed more in a technical direction.
Mhm.
Everything feels really tech based. Everyone wants to be a coder or a
Right.
computer science major or a doctor,
Mhm.
and and
We need more
hearing
media.
yeah here me when the
Don't
makers put
don't.
unnecessary sex scenes in my media, and hearing the reason for art in the
Mhm.
world described as like the reason we keep living is just beautiful to me.
Mhm.
um I mean, I don't have anything else to say.
That's all for me.
I mean,
I
Dead
give
Poets. Oh, I hope you guys can hear
Charlie is
Charlie.
having something to say about this movie.
Charlie really likes Dead Poets Society, guys.
Mhm. I give
Um,
this movie a 10 out of 10.
yeah, I gave this movie an 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
I'll read my book review now. Excuse me. For the longest time, I thought of this film as simply another vehicle for Robin Williams' acting talent. But just like Good Will Hunting, this movie envelops everything it means to be human. In saying that, about Williams, his performance in this film is brilliant, but not even the best. But the
Mhm.
real highlight of the film is Neil, or whatever his actor's name is.
Neil. Right.
His performance is brilliant and masterfully subtle, as most cases, as most, as most cases are. The camaraderie between the society and constant references to Carpe Diem is so damn cool.
Mhm.
For a good while, you really envy this group. The school, the boys, the drama, the after, the ultra romanticization of poetry. It's so beautiful and really makes you appreciate good teachers.
Mhm.
Also, really nice undertones of homosexuality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, but you
Mhm.
can mention it after this if you'd like.
Sure. Mhm.
Great movie all around. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
So you explained this to me. I didn't really pick up on this. I sort of did.
Right.
Tell me about the gays in good
They're gonna get
in
mad
Dead
at you
Poet
for saying it,
Society.
babe.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Uh,
I
uh,
allow it.
yeah. Thank you. Tell me
Um,
about the homosexuality in this movie.
it's technically all a theory,
Hmm.
but I think the director kind of implements it, but didn't fully express that.
Yeah, he didn't express it.
That relationship between Neil and Todd.
Hmm.
But when you're watching, you kind of feel like there's something there. They get so close so quick. And Neil goes to Todd and he's like celebrating, and Todd is so happy for him that he's finally going for this part in the play that he really wanted, even though
Hmm.
his dad is like disallowing it. You
Yeah.
can just see like Todd is so happy for him, and Neil goes straight to him just to express his excitement.
Hmm.
And that scene where he gets the same present, Todd gets the same present as last year for his birthday.
Oh, and they throw it
Neil's
off
like,
the.
"This is very aerodynamic," and
Yeah,
Todd
yeah.
he just starts smiling, and then he throws it off the cliff.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, there's definitely a connection there. I'm not sure if it was intentional, But I mean, if you're watching, you might catch it.
Yeah, ultimately it's like your own interpretation of it.
Right.
But I think it makes sense, and I sort of picked up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll move on to the next movie.
Yeah.
Not that I'm particularly excited to talk about this one. On the 5th of
The
September.
6th. Oh, sorry.
You're good. On the 5th of September, I watched, and then a day later, Allie watched
Mm-hmm.
the Emoji Movie. The Emoji Movie is a Sony Pictures animated movie, and
You can hear
do I
how
even start?
grim Noah is about this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
so this is not my first viewing of the Emoji Movie.
mine neither.
I remember when this movie came out, I just remember everyone hating it, and then as a little dumb 6-year-old or however old I was, I remember watching it and going, it wasn't that bad. This movie is perhaps the most soulless movie I've ever seen, equatable to the Borderlands movie.
Okay. I have to ask, why did you make us watch this movie?
Yeah, so my arch nemesis, whose name I won't disclose on the podcast.
You know who you are.
Yeah, you know exactly who you are, you little bastard. He basically begged on his hands and knees, please review the Emoji Movie, sir, please. And I couldn't help but abide to my biggest fan.
And
And
I
my
just
arch
kind of get
nemesis.
sucked into it because I
Yeah.
make these videos. Or, well, I like to make these videos. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, I watched it, and it is, yeah, like I said, one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
One thing that stood out on my first watching,
Uh-huh.
well, my cousin had this on Blu-ray, and she was like, "Have you ever seen the Emoji Movie?" And I was like, "No, I've never even heard of it." We were both really little, so she put it on, and I watched it, and I was like, "Yeah, I like the music." That's like pretty much it. And rewatching this, the rating it got was based off the music. It's like that bad 2000s, not necessarily bad, but it's not very popular now.
It's insufferable.
To some people, sure. But
No,
it's
it
like the
just
bad that okay. Well, it's the bad music that I kind of like. That like just reminds me of my childhood, hearing it on the radio and all that.
There are so many moments in this movie, and so many scenes, that it was so embarrassing to watch, that I felt embarrassed to have it on my TV. Like, I was afraid that like someone would walk up the stairs and see the Emoji Movie on, and they'd think less of me because of it.
Right.
I'm thinking to a couple lines of dialogue, I really like a guy who can express his emotions.
I mean, that's literally me though.
I like that fucking line of dialogue where she's like, men are always stealing credit for things that women do. In the Candy Crush, there are so many things that just make me want to gouge my eyes out and put screwdrivers in my ears.
Right.
I don't really want to talk about this movie anymore.
Okay, I do have one important question. Last thing. What's your favorite emoji from the movie?
What kind of a question is that? Do you want me to kill myself? Do you want me to kill myself on the podcast?
No, you gotta cut that out. You can say that on YouTube.
I can say whatever I want. My favorite emoji is the poop because
he's barely in it.
Sir Patrick Stewart? Yeah. Sir Patrick Stewart is a very good voice actor. And he's like in the movie for 4 minutes, which means I like him because he's in like there's the littlest amount to watch him in.
Right. Well, my favorite emoji was the hand. Yeah, the hand.
High five? You kidding me?
Yeah, the high five.
James Corden?
James Corden? I didn't realize I just read it.
I can't believe you. That's actually like the worst thing you've said on the podcast so far.
I've definitely said worse.
No, I mean James Corden. Come on now.
You didn't like him?
I'd actually rather like get killed than ever meet him.
Oh, okay. Well.
If I met him, I'd pull out a gun and shoot myself in the head just to traumatize him for the rest of his life.
Okay, babe. Okay.
We should get off Emoji Movie like right now.
Yeah, we should. 2 out of 10.
I gave it a 1 out of 10. a very rare 1 out of 10. I only give this to the worst of the worst, and trust me, this is the worst of the worst. I'll read my review. I thought more about this review than the writers probably thought about the story or the movie at all.
Right.
I can't believe that I'm about to waste precious moments of my youth and life writing about the Emoji Movie. This film is almost comedically bad, and that's really saying something for an animated film. Every second of this film, and even about 1/5 of the dialogue, is ads. Talking about Dropbox or Candy Crush or that Chinese sticker app. It's almost an insult to life itself. The plot is boring, predictable, and filled with uninteresting, shitty characters. The animation is hideous and low quality, legitimately looking like something an AI animated. The music is consistently god-awful, and multiple scenes were so hard to watch I felt embarrassed just having it on. A lot like Borderlands, a huge waste of my time, and somehow not even reaching my Mariana Trench level expectations. 1 out of 10. I think I would rather watch Borderlands movie than this one.
Jeez.
Like, it's just horrible. Now to talk about an animated movie that I actually quite liked. I guess I'll intro this one because I'm the one who recommended we watch it, as all of these are.
Yeah.
On the same day, on the 5th, I watched Memories. And you watched Memories, I think, the day after, right?
Yeah. I watched all of these on Friday now.
Yeah.
All on the same day. Yeah, so he's telling you about it.
Yeah, Memories is... I don't know what you'd call it. On YouTube, it's called a multiple animators project, a map.
Sure.
I mean, this wasn't really the same thing. It was more of a... I mean, it's a... What's it called? It's an anthology film. It's an anime anthology film, which I've never seen before, and I thought was a very nifty idea, and there are a lot of anime directors and writers behind it that I really respected. So I had high hopes for this movie, and I'm happy to say I really liked it. Now, what did you think of Memories, Allie?
I thought it was super cool. It looked good. It sounded good. But it just didn't catch my attention enough. I didn't really care about what was happening. This is just not my kind of movie.
Sure.
I can still enjoy it and appreciate it. Don't even start with this.
Can I say my thoughts?
No.
So you hate anime?
No, that's not true.
Is there one anime movie that you like?
Movie?
Like Japanese animated movie?
I mean, one of your favorites, Night Short Walk On Girl.
No Studio Ghibli.
Fuck, babe.
See?
I could go through my letterbox and find one. Off the top of my head, the first thing I think of is the Death Note movie, which is horrendous. Don't watch that movie.
Yeah, so Allie hates Japanese people and anime movies.
No, neither of those are true.
So before we dive into, because I think it's easiest to talk about this movie and all 3 of its mini movies or its short films, what was your personal ranking of the 3?
I didn't pick up on that. I didn't understand. I saw your review before I watched this, and I saw you ranking, but I just didn't realize there was different parts. Really.
Are you stupid?
Did it like come up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't pay attention.
It was chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter... Okay, which... You remember it feels like 3 distinct movies, though.
No.
No?
I don't remember anything. I did not care about this movie.
Did you watch the movie?
Yeah, kinda.
What were you doing instead of watching the movie that was so
I was
important?
mobile gaming, okay?
Oh my god. See, this is the problem, guys. Allie, they have TikTok brain. It's like
No.
chronic.
Brain.
No, you're right. You have gambling brain. You have chronic gambling granny brain. It's actually scary how bad it is.
Whatever. I like bingo. I like to play money games. I like to win money.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since Allie didn't understand this was more than one short film, I guess I'll just throw out my ranking. In retrospect, it would probably go in order from best to worst. But at the time of watching, it was Stink Bomb, Magnetic Rose, I think it's called, and then fuck, what's the last one called? And then
And then
Cannon
Boulder.
Fodder. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just explain why, and you can interject if you want, even though you have no idea what you're talking about. So the reason I like Stink Bomb the most was mainly the animation style and the more comedic directing style or like writing style. I couldn't help, but I really this is gonna sound really cringy, guys. I really like seeing animated military things.
Mhm.
In Stinky in Stinky Bomb. In Stink Bomb, a lot of it is pretty much the entirety of Stink Bomb is like tanks and Japanese soldiers and helicopters and fighter jets, and seeing these like super intricately drawn, like super just like intense action scenes where they're trying to kill one guy. It's kind of funny and it looks really good. And the concept is also really silly. A guy bringing the demise of an entire nation through what was a cold, or what was in an attempt to cure a cold. I
Mhm.
just thought it was awesome and really out there and silly. What did you think of Stink Bomb, Allie?
I don't know.
What
I don't
do you
know.
remember anything about Stink Bomb?
I remember that I was playing bingo.
Oh my
Okay.
god,
Like I didn't.
guys.
I really didn't watch this movie.
Okay, okay, that's okay.
But at least I have a question for you.
Okay, yeah, hit me.
And I did watch this part towards the end. The little boy is walking around, and it's drawn in crayon. What did you think about that?
I mean, Cannon Fodder is definitely the weakest of the three, at least to me.
No, but I'm talking about just the crayon part.
The-
How did you think that looked?
The crayon animated scene.
Yeah.
I thought it was a nice change from Cannon Fodder's
Mhm.
style. I thought it was a kind of cool way to represent a child's mind. You know,
Right.
it did feel like an imagination scene for him, and I
Mhm.
thought it looked pretty good too, being in crayon and all.
Yeah.
So what did you think about Cannon Fodder more broadly, Allie?
Why are you doing this to me?
It's too funny. Sorry. Yeah. So since I'm already on Cannon Fodder, I guess we'll talk about it. Cannon Fodder, I don't know what the guy who directed this is known for. I gotta say though, I really wasn't huge on Cannon Fodder. The ideas behind it, I was quite the fan of. You know, the really like fascist overtones, and the super intense like military aspect of it, and like you're only really good for what you can do like labor wise. I thought it was a cool idea, but I think the animation just hurts this movie too much to, or hurts this part too much to really appreciate. Um, it tries to have this one take style, which is genuinely innovative for an anime, for an animated
Mhm.
movie. But at the time, the tech just wasn't there, or at least the
Mhm.
animation wasn't quite right for it. So it all just looks really choppy and kind of stuttery, and like it labors through. And a lot of the times, it does feel like a more of a weight the movie is carrying than an actually cool, thought out, creative choice. Because there are a lot of scenes where it's just kind of panning on the side of a building and you're not really seeing anything, which is okay, but I just wish it was better. And more broadly, I just wasn't huge on the animation style. I thought it looked I don't know what you'd even call it. It wasn't traditional, it wasn't new, it was its own thing, which is cool.
Mhm.
And it fits Cannon Fodder. None of the other animation styles would fit Cannon Fodder, but I just wasn't huge on it. What did you think about the animation style in Cannon Fodder?
Well, I totally agree with everything you said. And I think I realize now, I think I know what made me just so out of it in this movie.
Why?
Um, so in the beginning, it's like 10 minutes in,
Uh-huh.
there was something said, and it made me giggle, and I got really angry at myself for laughing at something so
You
stupid.
want to tell me what you giggled at?
So they're on the spaceship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys, no clue what his name is, he says something like, "I like the sound this makes," and whipping it out, and I laughed.
It's a dick joke, but the guy
Yeah,
after points out it's a dick joke.
yeah, and I laughed. And then after that, Didn't care about the movie.
Yeah, guys. So Allie actually hates when a movie makes them laugh. They
No,
hate everything funny.
That's not true. I'm just so mad that I laughed at something so stupid I couldn't finish it. I couldn't watch the movie and actually enjoy it.
Are you realizing the implication you're making towards yourself by saying that?
No.
You're calling yourself stupid for laughing at something stupid.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
the next movie we talk about is stupid, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But before we leave memories, I want to just talk a little bit about Metallic Rose or Magnetic Rose. Sorry.
Magnetic.
I think animations wise, it's unbelievable. It's from the same guy who directed Akira, which is another anime film I really like, and just the whole. I don't know what you call the style. I guess it's his style. Seeing the really simplistic looking people, but then the really detailed backgrounds and like close-ups. It's something about it just tickles my ape brain. Especially the way all the, I don't know what you'd call it, like the white crust area looks. It just looks so visually appealing and so like it reminds me of like futuristic H.R. Geiger level like imaginative thinking is. It just, man, it looks good. And the whole idea of an AI living in a perpetual paradise hell because that's what the original person wanted. It's just cool. I thought all of Magnetic Rose was really cool. And for a while I kind of thought it was just gonna all be Magnetic Rose because I think it's the longest of the three. It felt the longest of the three, which is not a bad thing. The characters are really fun too.
I totally agree.
Yeah, since Allie can't contribute to the fucking conversation, I guess I'll just read my book review now.
Well, first our number ratings.
Oh yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
So on Letterboxd, I gave this a 4,
Mm-hmm.
but on my book it says a 5. I don't know which one's correct.
So how about you decide right now?
I don't know.
So are we gonna say 4.5?
Yeah, 4.5, sure.
4.5, yeah, abysmal. I gave Memories a 7 out of 10, and I guess I'll just read my review because I don't think Allie has much else to say on this movie that they very clearly loved and paid a lot of attention to.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys.
I think it'd be best to talk about this film in its 3 different parts because overall I think it's a really good anthology film. The first part is probably my second favorite. The animation style for Magnetic Rose is superb. That and the whole almost paranormal style of the story makes it super memorable and fascinating. Really great score too. Stink Bomb is definitely my favorite as the more lighthearted approach and super heavy focus on awesome military stuff is really, it just really hits the spot. Director brings lots of style too. Cannon Fodder is definitely the weakest though. The idea of a one-take short anime is pretty neat, but it ends up feeling really restrictive. Animation style is also a little off and nothing happens. Very good package. That's all I wrote, 7 out of 10. I mean, yeah. I think it's I don't know if you'd want to get into older animated Japanese movies like this through this movie. I'd recommend going in through a director like Satoshi Kon. But if you end up going this route, then hey, I wouldn't blame you. This is a good way to kind of it's like sampling things, you know. It's like this is like the Costco of Japanese animated movies. Now, since you can actually talk about this one, I hope, do you want to introduce this next film?
Okay, so the next one we watched,
This was at the... Yeah, go ahead.
I struggled pronouncing this name for so long, but then I realized like what it said. I just, for some reason, my brain didn't process it correct.
Yeah.
We watched the VelociPastor.
Yeah, so the VelociPastor is described, at least by Tubi, which is where I watched it, as a cult classic or a cult horror movie or something like that. Like a, not cult, you know what I mean? Like a movie everyone really likes.
Its genres are action, comedy, and horror. So it's like everything.
I guess it kind of fits. And honestly, I really didn't like this movie as much as I wanted to.
Yeah.
I was recommended this movie by a friend. He was like, dude, you have to watch it. It's so funny. And I was like, you know what? I'll take your word for it, man. And I watched it. And again, I just wasn't huge on it. VelociPastor is an indie film. This movie was probably made on like $1,000 maybe.
Yeah.
And that's including the recording device. Um, but it's a passion project, and throwing away everything I may or may not think about the story or the technical aspects of the film, the fact that this guy got his movie made through probably a million rejections from studios and companies, for an admittedly absurd plot and premise, I think it's really it's a really good example of how far passion can take you in making a movie. But to actually talk about the VelociPastor, which I don't really want to do, this is a what would you call this, Allie?
It's a satire.
About what?
Faith and religion. And dinosaurs.
How do you satire a whole breed of animal?
No, like the movie in general is satire,
Uh,
but it includes like realistic topics.
okay, sure.
It's labeled as a satire. This is a satire.
Okay, yeah, it's a satire of, I guess, like religious horror movies. And like a normal movie, the Velociraptor or the VelociPastor, the pastor would become like a demon or like a werewolf or something instead of a fucking dinosaur.
Okay, I never knew
know,
that.
No. Like I'm just making this up, but it sounds right. I mean, I don't know how to talk about this movie. I really don't.
The whole time, I was just like, what am I watching right now?
I just really wanted
I knew nothing about this.
About 30 minutes in. This movie's only like an hour, like 10 minutes long or something. It's like an hour 14, I think. The whole, like, at 30 minutes in, I just wanted it to be over.
Right.
Because the movie's at its best when it's just starting, because there are admittedly a lot of really funny jokes in this movie. The main actor especially does a really good job at delivering his purposefully silly and bad lines. But
they just don't always land.
It doesn't always land, but the problem is that it gets old.
Right.
After like 30 minutes, I just don't care anymore.
Right.
Like he's hanging out with his hooker girlfriend, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go eat bad guys," and then he eats bad guys, and then the Chinese triad gang is in the movie, and they're like, "We have to make everyone addicted to cocaine, so that everyone becomes religious after."
Yeah.
I just like didn't care.
Like, they kill the ninjas and they start making out. It's just like it could be funny if you're like 12.
It would be funny. That's true. That's a really good way to put it, actually. Yes, absolutely. It would be funny if you watched this movie in 20-minute increments. This would be a funny movie.
Like a TikTok video.
Yes.
Like they upload it in parts.
Yes. If you turn this into 60-odd TikTok parts, this movie's probably fucking awesome.
Oh yeah.
But watching it all like in one sitting, which is hilarious to say about like a movie that's an hour long. I don't know. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It's for a kind of person, and that kind of person is not me.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the Velociraptor costume, though?
I don't even know what to say.
I mean, I think it's like... Wait, go ahead.
I thought it was interesting.
I think it's like purposefully shit, but I think it's really
whole movie
funny.
Is purposely shit.
I guess so, yeah. But especially the Velociraptor costume. Seeing that thing is just so funny.
Speaking of purposely shit movies, how do you feel about that kind of thing? Where they are obviously like making a bad movie.
I think a purposefully bad movie can be done really well, or at least a movie with low production value.
Sure.
That then leans into its shittiness can be done well. I think a great example, I mean, I don't know how low the budget really was, or if it was just a stylistic choice, but in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, from my knowledge anyway, they couldn't pay for horses. So instead of riding around on horses, they would just click coconuts together and kind of skip.
Yeah, and then they skip, yeah. But it's hilarious.
Yeah, it can be done well. Low production value, kind of taken to an extreme, can be done well. And there are a lot of really great movies made on tiny budgets. I mean, this movie's again was probably made on under $5,000. It can be done well, and it has been done well. And this movie, in like a grand scheme of things, this movie was done well on its very small budget. But I just didn't care.
We gotta watch Monty Python.
We have to
We
watch
gotta
a
see
lot of
that.
Monty Python. I've seen it.
You've seen it?
I've seen Holy Grail and Life of Brian.
I've only seen Holy Grail.
You gotta watch Life of Brian. That one's way better.
Okay.
Anyway, do you have anything else to say about the masterpiece that is the VelociPastor?
I mean, there was some kind of love aspect. It was sweet at some points, but overall, it's just
I think it was purposefully, again, like everything else, purposefully shitty.
yeah.
I don't know. It was okay. I
Yeah,
guess I'll
3
read
out
it.
of 10.
Oh yeah, 3 out of 10. I gave it a 5. It's just all right.
Mhm.
That burger looks really good, by the way.
It tastes great, and I want to
That's
eat
good.
it right now.
That's good. You can eat it while I'm reading my book review, but make sure you don't mute.
I'm gonna mute.
Boo, baby.
Okay,
Anyway, sorry. Let me read my book review. It's hard to really define what this film is. I think the best way to sum it up is to call it a passion project. I respect the director slash editor slash writer, Brendan Steer, or yeah, I think that's his name, Stair, something like that, for putting all this effort into a film that knows it's silly. Technically, the movie is a mess, but it's endearingly bad. The performances are fine, with the exception of the main dude, who's having just so much damn fun. The costume is funny, and the film's good on either side. The film's good on either side, but a majority of the film is disappointingly boring. The whole middle part of the film feels like I can't even read that.
You got it.
Feels like a waste. There you go. And only trying to pad the runtime, so the ending, which is admittedly great, feels more complete. A harmless, fun movie that's almost as good as it could be. Conceptually.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a 5 out of 10. I want to move on from this movie, like, right now. Yeah, so the final movie of the week, which I recommended we watch. Big surprise.
Once again?
Yeah, this is a rewatch for me. Sorta. We watched Kung Fu Hustle.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you think of Kung Fu Hustle, Allie?
I thought it was perfectly humorous, action-filled, and like slightly like thrilling. I don't think that's the right word. But you're kind of like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Like
I had you
suspenseful.
invested. Yes,
Yeah,
suspenseful. There you go. So Kung Fu Hustle was recommended to me by a friend ages ago. And he kept pressing me to watch it, so I was like, fine, I'll watch it. And then I fell asleep an hour in, and then I just said, yeah, 7 out of 10, it was okay, just to get him off my back. And I didn't really think about the movie at all much, because, I mean, I watched it, and I did my review, and everyone knew that I watched it, so I was like, I guess I don't really need to watch it again. But recently, I had a craving for whatever, I guess a Kung Fu movie.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I guess I don't know if passion project would be the right thing to call it, but a movie that's made with a lot of passion. And this movie is made with a huge amount of passion.
Mm-hmm.
Kung Fu Hustle is, for all intents and purposes, a parody of Kung Fu movies.
Mm-hmm. A satire, if you will.
Yeah, a satire. Good word. In saying that, I haven't seen any of like the Bruce Lee Kung Fu movies, which is clearly what this movie is inspired by. Which does suck, because I think it'd be probably even funnier if you went in with experience in those Kung Fu movies. But for what it is, and for someone who hasn't seen any of them, this movie, I think anyway, spoofs the whole genre pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the whole spoofing aspect, Allie?
Well, I didn't actually pick up on that. I have no clue what that other movie you mentioned was.
Which is Bruce Lee, generally.
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, but more broadly, what do you think of Kung Fu Hustle? Like, what? Okay, here we go. Who was your favorite character?
I mean, I think we're both gonna answer the same. It's the landlady. She's hilarious. And I mean, from the way she runs really fast up the stairs or like down the stairs.
She has like the Sonic Circle leg, like
Yeah,
arm.
it reminded me of like Roadrunners.
Yeah, yeah, like Wile E. Coyote.
Mhm.
The movie is really cartoony, and I love how
Right.
cartoony it
I
is.
love it, yeah.
And
Um
go
I
ahead.
also obviously like her superpower, I guess you could call it, where she
No,
just screams.
her kung fu style.
Her kung fu style where she just
She's
screams
lion
really
roar.
loud.
Lion's
Right.
roar. It's badass.
Mhm.
I really like how, not seriously, but how silly, how sillily serious the movie is.
Mhm.
And I like how, even though it's a spoof of like kung fu Bruce Lee movies, it still does the genre, I guess you'd call it, pretty damn well.
Mhm.
I really appreciate it, especially, I mean, to answer my own question. My favorite character is also probably the landlady.
Mhm.
Seeing all these different made up anyway, styles of kung fu. The guy who has the rings on his arms, the guy who fights with the pole, and the guy who, what's the third guy fight with? He just like fights, right? He's like Iron Fist. He has like an Iron Fist style technique or
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's all really cool, and it feels so perfectly like schlocky and action movie ish. And I love Chinese people too, which I
Yeah.
know Allie
Don't
doesn't.
you can't do this.
So what Chinese movie don't you like? Like, what Chinese movie do you hate with a burning passion again?
I don't hate Chungking Express.
There we go. Yeah, so Allie's actively
Okay,
anti-Chinese.
Noah, I bought you a whole Wong Kar-wai box set. Do you think I would do that if I didn't like Chinese people? That was
Yeah.
like $100.
Yeah, it was a gift.
It's going straight to Chinese people for $100.
It's going to Criterion, and then the man who made all these movies gets like $4.
Well, the amount of times you've seen his movie, you gave him like 1,000. And the 4 times I watched that movie, I mean,
Well, I mean, back to Kung Fu Hustle.
right. I was gonna ask, when the Axe gang is coming in, they have like
Yeah.
clouds following them. What do you think about that?
I think the whole Axe gang in general is like my favorite part of the movie.
So cool.
It's so like perfectly silly and stupid. I can't help but kind of smile whenever
Right.
whenever they're doing something, or the fake Axe gang guys, or seeing them start throwing axes at people. It's so cool and so silly. And
The fight scenes are great.
oh yeah, there's a lot of like legitimate martial arts in this movie. Like a lot of it is practical. And the only places where CG is really used is more absurd, like the Roadrunner legs and the
The
jumping.
falling.
No, I think all of that is practical, like wire stunts. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love how much of this movie is like legitimately like talented stunt professional actor people.
Right.
I think it's awesome. But Kung Fu Hustle's biggest strength is its heart. This movie has so much heart to it.
It does, yeah.
So many funny little things and so many little quirks to it. So many, well, I mean, so many. It's like two really interesting plot lines.
Yeah.
Especially with the mute girl and the lollipop.
Oh, I love that.
I think it's hilarious when the kid tries to use his Buddhist palm technique and he gets shit on, and then they start pissing all over him because they beat him up. I think it's so perfectly silly. I love it. And the whole idea of the like, oh, the kung fu master who studied so much kung fu he went insane. I think it's also like super silly, and I can't help but just like adore it.
Right.
I mean, I love the movie.
Yeah, me too. Even like there's some kind of serious scenes. The one that stands out to me is when that one character is dying, and he's like, "With great power comes great responsibility."
I
and
think
he
this
means
happened.
it.
Did this happen before Spider-Man? The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man? Did Kung Fu Hustle make up the "with great power becomes great responsibility" line
It's 2004.
when this movie came out?
Yeah.
Didn't the original Raimi Spider-Man come out in like 2000, like 6 or 5?
I think so.
Guys,
Are you checking?
Kung Fu Hustle came up with perhaps one of the best lines of dialogue ever. I hope anyway.
We're gonna find out. Spider-Man. Oh, my internet. Oh, my internet. My internet.
It's okay, guys. It's Charlie. Charlie's chewing on the fiber optic cable under the house.
Oh, he's chewing on something right now. You can hear him running around my room.
Yeah, I sure can.
2002.
Fuck.
Fuck!
Well, Kung Fu Hustle does it cooler anyway. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love it. I didn't sleep through it, and man, movies are a lot better when you don't sleep through them, or or mobile game through them.
Whatever.
I don't have much else to say about Kung Fu Hustle.
Me either. It's a really great movie. I wish I
think
liked it more.
If you like or even like the idea of like kung fu and karate, watch Kung Fu Hustle, because
Yeah, you can enjoy it.
It makes so much fun of it, but at the same time does it so well that it's hard not to love. With all that out of the way, I gave Kung Fu Hustle a 9 out of 10.
And I gave it a 7. Disappointingly, I wanted to like it more.
This is a certified banger to me.
Right.
And here's my book review. Probably not the smartest to go into a movie like this with virtually no experience in kung fu movies, but as basically my first one ever, man is it cool. I really love the over-the-top, ultra-extreme movies like this, because it really reminds me of how crazy creative people can be. Visually, the film is spectacular, with the 60s-ish China being super beautiful looking, and even the less time-specific areas and sets look great. Also love how practical the movie is. Even through the insane feats, it really feels like the actors are doing it. Speaking of, the performances are super cool, and the actors alike deliver it all wonderfully. Kung Fu looks masterful, the CG has aged like wine, and the score is damn near iconic.
Right.
Pretty much as good as a Chinese action movie can get. Yeah, I mean, Kung Fu Hustle is a movie for the ages.
Sure.
And just like that, that is the end of A Week in Film, episode 12. Can you guys believe it? I've been your
What a
host,
horrible
Noah.
week.
Horrible.
This is like the worst one in a while. For me, at least.
Okay, so
The highest rating was a 7.
One of those, La La Land.
Well, we watched it like that was an actual watch. We just kind of watched it.
Oh, so just to clarify, guys, one of the movies that I rated pretty highly, Allie didn't like because they were mobile gaming. So I don't know.
Okay, whatever. Let's end the video.
I don't know if you can really say worst week in a while
Guys,
when one of those is directly your fault.
This week, I'm gonna lock in on every single movie. I have great notes. I have great questions written down.
You're like
I'm gonna break up with him after this, guys.
Elmer Fudd.
Who even is that?
That's the guy who goes, "Be very, very quiet. We're hunting rabbits." From Looney Tunes.
Okay, I can't.
Okay.
We gotta go. We're gonna argue.
Yeah, that's about all our time you have with us. Again, if you liked this week in film, I know there have been a couple weak ones in a row now, but trust me, guys, we'll watch good movies soon.
Next week will be better.
Yeah, I have quite a few movies I want to watch, and I hear at least one of them is very good.
And I'll contribute this week.
Yeah, thank God. Sorry, that was evil. Yeah, if you like these kinds of videos, or you like Allie, or me, Noah, a subscribe would be seriously appreciated. We are at like 87 subscribers, guys. We are doing wonderfully in the subscriber game. I love how much you guys are interacting with me now, even if it's still mainly on Deadpool, but you know, fucking gives a shit anyway.
Right.
I mean, again, like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Share it with your friends if you know someone who would like this kind of video.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're not Red Letter Media or I don't even know another movie podcaster. But I swear we'll get there one day.
We're just
Um,
two friends talking about movies we watched together.
really weird that friends call each other babe, but you know, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're two
close
people in
friends.
love.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. I mean, that's all I have to say.
Yep.
Again, share it around, like, subscribe, do literally anything. A comment would be greatly appreciated. And here's your fun fact for today. Of all the Pokemon, Vaporeon would be the most. I'll stop there.
Let's actually give you a fun fact today. Today
Yeah.
is National Beer Lovers Day. My
Yeah,
dad's
this
very
is going
happy
up
about
on
that.
this is going up on Monday, so you have to specify the date.
Well, today is September 7th, Saturday.
Yeah, it's the Saturday. We did record on Friday.
Stop yawning!
Yeah, we didn't go.
We're
we didn't
rambling
record.
too long in the outro!
It's fine. We didn't record on Friday because we were both going through it. But
yeah.
anyway, like Ali said, we are rambling too long. Goodbye. Please subscribe, and
We
will see you
in
the theaters.
theaters.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.